All right, today we are getting into something that should be top of mind for literally every single person in crypto. Is my exchange actually safe? We're going to break down how these massive heists happen, what a real digital fortress looks like, and then I'm going to give you a super simple checklist to see if your funds are truly protected.
Okay, first, I just want you to look at this number, $285 million. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some company's market cap or a line item in a government budget.
No, that is the price tag for a single mistake. That is the cost of just one compromised private key. So, how on earth does something this catastrophic even happen?
To really get our heads around how high the stakes are, we've got to look at a real-world disaster. This isn't some theoretical what-if scenario. This is the story of a massive and, frankly, an entirely preventable crypto heist.
So let's walk through a case study based on the kind of attacks we see all the time. Just look how fast this all goes down. Day 1, a single administrator's private key gets stolen. And not through some crazy, sophisticated new exploit, but usually through a simple lapse in security. By day 2, the attacker is already in, draining funds. And by day 3, before the team can even really figure out what's happening, $285 million is just gone.
That story is shocking, right? But here's the kicker. It's not unique. Not by a long shot. So the real question we have to ask is, why do we keep seeing this exact same pattern play out again and again and again?
Let's just put it out there. Why does this keep happening? Well, it's not really because the hackers are some kind of super geniuses. The truth is, the vulnerability is often built right into the system from the very beginning.
And here it is, the root of the problem: centralized key control. I want you to think of it like giving one person the only key to the master vault at a bank. If that one key gets compromised, everything is gone. It creates this massive, glaring, single point of failure. Every single person who's ever touched that key, every laptop it's been on, suddenly becomes a potential backdoor for a hacker. And this vulnerability, it leads to this frustrating cycle that we see all the time. First, an incident happens. A few days later, some long blog post comes out, a postmortem, explaining what went wrong. And it always ends with this vague promise of enhanced security. But it's always after the fact, right? It's always reactive, and it's always after the money is long gone. So, how do we break this cycle? It's simple. We have to stop reacting and start building properly from day one. We need to talk about proactive security, how a real digital fortress is actually constructed. This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The platforms that actually succeed, the ones that break out of this reactive mess, they don't wait for a crisis. They build their security the right way from the start. They fix their key management before an attack is even a remote possibility. And the first, most powerful defense looks something like this. It's so simple, but so critical. Over 90% of all user funds should be in cold storage. That means completely offline, totally disconnected from the internet. The hot wallet, that little slice of the pie that's online for daily withdrawals, that's the only part that's actually exposed. This one design choice alone just dramatically slashes the risk.
Okay, so the next layer in our fortress is a technology called multi-party computation, or MPC. Now, the concept here is just brilliant. Instead of having one master key, the key is digitally shattered into little pieces, or shards. No single person or computer ever holds the complete key. To approve anything, multiple people have to bring their shards together. So if a hacker compromises just one person, they get absolutely nothing. And then, on top of that, you add another layer, multi-signature authorization. Now, this isn't just about tech, it's about process. Think of it like this. You can't make a huge wire transfer from a company without getting sign-off from the CFO and the CEO. Same idea here. It makes sure that no single individual, no matter how high up, can just move a ton of money all by themselves. And finally, you wrap all of this critical stuff inside what are called hardware security modules, or HSMs. These are basically Fort Knox for your digital keys. They're tamper-proof physical boxes, all the important stuff, the signing of transactions, it happens inside this fortified hardware, totally cut off from the vulnerable software and networks where an attacker might be lurking. And look, this isn't just theory. This is a real-world example of what good looks like. A centralized exchange called Anmrex. They do this whole stack. Over 90% in cold storage? Check. Using both MPC and multisig for key management? Check. HSM-based operations? Check. And what's really crucial,
is they back it all up with third-party audits like ISO 27001 and a public proof of reserves. This is what being proactive actually looks like in the wild. So, building a fortress for today's threats is one thing. That's essential. But a truly secure exchange is also thinking about the threats of tomorrow. And looming on the horizon is a big one, a threat that could potentially break the very foundation of all of crypto: quantum computers. So here's the deal. The encryption that protects pretty much all of crypto today, it's basically unbreakable by any normal computer we have. But the thing about future quantum computers is that they think in a completely different way. And there's an algorithm designed for them that could, in theory, crack our current encryption in a matter of minutes. Now, this tech is still a ways off, but the work to defend against it has to start now.
So what's really at risk here? Well, the core encryption used by Bitcoin and Ethereum is the main target. And there's a fascinating quirk. Once you send crypto from an address, its public key becomes visible on the blockchain. A quantum computer could potentially use that public key to figure out the private key. You see the problem? This means address reuse, which a lot of people do, suddenly becomes way, way riskier. And trying to upgrade an entire blockchain to a new security standard, well, that is a monumental task. That's why the planning has to start years ahead.
Okay, we've gone through the hacks of today and the massive threats of tomorrow. So now let's pull all of this together and turn it into a powerful tool that you can actually use to protect yourself. You know, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Real security isn't just about putting up walls to stop today's hackers. It's about having the long-term vision to build a system that can withstand the threats that are still coming. You need both. So here it is, your 6-point checklist. These are the questions you should be asking, demanding from any exchange you trust with your funds. Number 1, cold storage. Are they keeping over 90% of funds completely offline? Number 2, key management. Are they using the advanced stuff, both MPC and multi-signature? Number 3, third-party audits. Do they have the real deal certifications to prove their security? Number 4, proof of reserves. Can they publicly prove with an audit that they actually hold your funds? Number 5, regulatory standing. Are they licensed and accountable to a real regulator? And finally, number 6, security reviews. Are they reviewing their own systems at least once a year? So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Think about where your funds are right now. Go through that checklist we just made and ask yourself honestly, is your exchange truly built like a fortress? Is it ready not just for the attacks happening today, but for the challenges that are still to come?